Did you know that Bose has a set of Bluetooth headphones that also amplifies speech? Well, in this video, I'm doing a detailed review of the Bose Hearphones. Coming up. Hi guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Anthem, Arizona. And on this channel, I cover a bunch of hearing-related information to help make you a better informed consumer. So if you're into that, consider hitting the subscribe button. Even though the Over-the-Counter Hearing Aid Act was recently signed into law, it doesn't mean that consumer electronics companies can create products and advertise them as hearing aids. They actually have to wait for the FDA to come out with guidelines for these over-the-counter hearing aid devices, and that won't happen for another couple of years. That's why Bose calls their hearphones conversation-enhancing headphones, because they can't technically say that they treat hearing loss. Bose hearphones aren't your regular Bose headphones, and while they still act like regular Bluetooth headphones with really good noise cancellation, they also let the user amplify speech. And as always, anytime a company implies that their product will benefit individuals with hearing loss, I naturally want to test that product out for myself. Before I get into the details of how well the Bose hearphones work, I do have a link in the description below to the Bose hearphones, but for now, let's get into the unboxing. All right, so these are the Bose hearphones. Let's go ahead, open it up and see what we got. Very cool packaging. And here we have the Bose hearphones. So I'm going to take this out. I'm actually going to set it to the side for a second here and go through the rest of the stuff that they have in the box. So they have the start here. This is basically the guide to let you know what you need to do to get these devices set up. So make sure you check that out. They come with different earbud tips. So it's important to note that these are closed earbuds. They are not an open vented earbud, and they're generally using this type of a product in order to seal out outside sound and to keep sound inside of your ear. It's one of the ways that Bose does a really good job of providing good low frequency amplification for full rich sound, and it helps them do noise cancellation better. So you have a large, medium, and small of these ear tips. This right here is the charger cable, pretty standard charging cable. And then it has a case that you can actually put the earphones in when you're not wearing them or you're traveling with them, something like that. All right, so here we go. So there's a couple different things that this has. Over here on the inside of the collar, you have the power on button and the Bluetooth button. On the very bottom of it, hidden right here, this is that charger port. And on the actual right side ear wire, we have increase in volume over here, decrease in volume right here. This is a multi-function button that does a variety of different things. And then you also have an increase and decrease here for world volume. Little indicators here to tell you which ears these go on. That's it for the unboxing. Let's see what these things can do. After putting the hearphones through a detailed evaluation, some things impressed me and some things not so much. But let's go ahead and start with the pros, and pro number one is that they are comfortable. Bose makes really high quality products and they spare no expense when it comes to making their products comfortable. With the hearphones, the earbuds that come on them are extremely soft and very comfortable to wear, and comfortable to wear for a very long time. You can see that the little rubber tips on here are very soft, and as you saw in the unboxing, they come in 3 different sizes, so you can find a size that fits your ear best. Pro number 2 is Bluetooth stability. Nothing drives me more crazy than when my Bluetooth devices lose connection. And because the hearphones use a collar with wires, they're able to maintain a steadier connection with whatever device you're Bluetoothing with. I was actually able to set my phone on one side of the gym and walk to the other side of the gym and still keep a good connection when I was wearing the hearphones. That is just something I'm not able to do with devices that go all inside of my ear. Pro number 3 is the quality of music, and in true Bose fashion, their sound quality is spectacular. The sound quality from these are way better than any other earphones that I have used, and the only thing that I found to be better than these are actually wired Bose headphones. Pro number 4 is that they can actually meet prescriptive targets for mild and moderate hearing losses. The biggest indicator on if a product will benefit someone with hearing loss is if it will meet a hearing loss prescription or not. And the way that I test that is I actually do real ear measurement. If you don't know what real ear measurement is, I highly recommend that you watch my video that I will link in the card up here and in the description below. So if this next section is too complicated for you to understand, go ahead and watch that video and come back to this one. I first wanted to see if the hearphones can meet a prescription for a flat, mild hearing loss across the frequency range. The basic concept of real ear measurement is to see if a hearing device can meet a prescriptive target for the amount of sound needed for a particular hearing loss when being measured inside of my ear canal. What we're looking at here is the sound that is coming out of a loudspeaker, indicated by the solid black line, and my ear canal resonance, which is the natural amplification of sound created by my ear canal, as illustrated by the solid pink line. The prescriptive target for a mild hearing loss is the pink hash mark line. The goal is to overlap the solid pink line with the hash mark line, and as you can see here, my natural ear is not capable of amplifying the sound to a mild hearing loss prescription. Now we're looking at what happens when I wear the Bose hearphones without it amplifying any real-world sound. As expected, the earbuds are blocking sound when they're not amplifying, as indicated by the solid purple line. The prescriptive target is now a purple hash mark line. What I'm doing now is making adjustments to the real-world sound and treble adjustment to see how close I can get the prescriptive targets for the mild hearing loss. As you can see, with each adjustment, I'm able to get closer and closer to the hash mark prescriptive line. I had to make a number of adjustments to get close to the targets. Ultimately, I ended up with real-world volume of 60 and increased the bass to 10, which gets me very close. It's still not perfect, but for a $500 hearable device, that's pretty darn good. What we're looking at now is me switching to the front focus mode while facing the loudspeaker. We would expect the solid red line to overlap with the solid purple line, which it clearly does during this measurement. This means that the microphones are picking up sound from the front. Now we're looking at the focus mode of the earphones, but with the loudspeaker facing the back of my head. What we should see is the reduction of amplification of the sound from behind me. This means that if you're in a noisy environment, you should notice a reduction in the sound behind you and the amplification of sound in front of you. Basically, this illustrates directionality of the microphones as expected. On this curve, I put the earphones back into everywhere mode with the speaker behind me, and as expected, it does not attenuate or reduce the amplification from behind me. Basically, when you use the different microphone configurations, they actually work, much like traditional hearing aids. What I want to see now is if the earphones can meet a prescription for a moderate hearing loss. This first curve is at the same setting that met the prescription for a mild hearing loss. Of course, as you can see, the new prescription hash mark line is higher with the moderate hearing loss. So I'll make an adjustment in the earphones to hit the prescription for a flat moderate hearing loss, which is pretty impressive. Of course, not everyone has a flat moderate hearing loss, so I checked to see if I could reduce the low frequency amplification while keeping the high frequencies on target. And as you can see, I was able to fit a moderate high frequency hearing loss prescription. However, I was getting some whistling, otherwise known as feedback, with this setup because too much sound was leaking out of my ears. To say that I was very impressed with the earphones' ability to match a prescriptive target would be an understatement. In fact, I think that the earphones would have the capability of outperforming hearing aids if those hearing aids weren't fit appropriately to your hearing loss prescription. You just have to be able to find a hearing care professional who's willing to do real ear measurement on these so you can see what the settings are to get you closer to your prescription. Pro number 5 is the noise cancellation ability of the earphones. Now, if you want to get really good noise cancellation, just basically go out and get any Bose product. It will do great noise cancellation when you're listening to music. The earphones are no exception to that, and they actually do a pretty good job of noise cancellation during live speech as well. When checking for noise reduction of a device, what we want to see is the solid red line dropping away from the solid purple line. And as you can see, we are getting a reduction when playing noise from a loudspeaker. And at the completion of the measurement, we get about a 7 decibel reduction in background noise with the real world sound set on 50. When I turn the real world down to a -50, it actually gives me an error message because there's not enough sound coming through the earphones to give me a measurement. All right, that's it for the pros. Now let's get into the cons, and con number 1 is actually the collar. Now I know I just got done saying that a pro of the hearphones was that the collar gives you a really good Bluetooth connection with your phone, but on the other side of that, I really don't like having anything around my neck, and it is particularly annoying when I'm going to the gym. The other thing about the collar is that it actually seems a little bit rude to wear it and put the earbuds in your ears when you're having a conversation with someone, particularly if it's someone who doesn't know you and doesn't know you're using them because of a hearing difficulty that you may have. And so during these types of conversations, it kind of gives the impression like you're not interested in what they had to say, or that you're just too rude to pull them out of your ears while you're having that conversation. Con number 2 is the phone call clarity. Now, I'm not talking about the clarity of you hearing the person that you're talking with. That actually comes through loud and clear and nearly as perfect as possible. What I'm talking about is that when you're using the earphones and having a conversation with someone, on their end, they will perceive that you have more background noise in your area. Somehow the earphones are actually picking up that surrounding noise and transferring it through to their end. And this can be a really big problem if you're trying to have a phone conversation with a little bit more noisy of an environment. Con number 3 is that they don't have good feedback cancellation. And even though they have closed ear tips on the earphones, anytime that you're trying to increase the amplification to meet a prescription for a moderate hearing loss, too much of that sound leaks out of your ear and recycles back through the microphone, which will give you that annoying whistling sound. This is where hearing aids clearly outperform earphones in terms of being able to eliminate this feedback or whistling sound. Hearing aids have feedback cancelers, so they can identify where the whistling would occur and actually remove that whistle before it happens or immediately after it starts happening. This is why a traditional hearing aid, even if they have an open vented tip, can eliminate feedback as long as the feedback evaluation is done during the fitting appointment. Con number 4 is the occlusion effect. The occlusion effect is basically when you talk, your own voice gets conducted through your skull and it tries to escape through your ear canals. And when you plug your ear canals with something, you hear your own voice very boomy and loud, and it is extremely annoying. And because the earphones don't have open venting on their ear tips, it gives you really bad occlusion effect. One way to eliminate the occlusion effect would be to put open venting on the ear tips, but that would create an even bigger problem with the feedback that I just talked about. If you have open tips on there, that sound is going to leak out and recycle back through your microphones, and you're not going to be able to amplify your devices at all. Not only this, but if you have open tips here, it won't let the devices do their noise cancellation capabilities, which is one of the biggest benefits of having Bose earphones. Overall, I was very impressed with the Bose earphones. I mean, my jaw practically hit the floor when I saw how close I was able to match the amplification from the earphones to a mild and moderate hearing loss prescription inside of my ear. But in the current form, do I think that Bose earphones could outperform a set of traditional hearing aids when those hearing aids are fit and programmed well for your hearing loss prescription? And the answer to that is no. But do I think that Bose earphones would provide an adequate amount of benefit for someone with a mild to moderate hearing loss? The answer to that is actually yes. I'm not sure that you would want to use them all day, every day, but they would definitely be a good situational use product if you're having some kind of difficulty understanding speech. Now, if any consumer electronics company is well poised to provide over-the-counter hearing aids, I would definitely consider Bose to be one of them. But until that point, if you want to get yourself a pair of Bose earphones, go ahead and click that link in the description below. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you liked the video, please share it. And if you want to see other videos just like this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you next time.